Welcome to the Small Business Voice with Justin Duncan and Jeanette Forni on Power Talk 1360 KFIV and the iHeartRadio app. We are here every Saturday to highlight local entrepreneurs and small business owners to learn how they succeed to build their businesses from the ground up. What were their challenges and what are their victories? And the purpose of this show is to put a voice to local business owners and entrepreneurs so we can contact them for their services. So that way, when you do contact them for their services, you have an idea of who they are and who you're talking to. When you buy from one of our guests, you are buying from a local business. Jeanette, how are you doing today?
Hey, you know what? New Year's starting off, trying to do some planning, change compensation plans for my insurance agency. For those that don't know, I own an Allstate agency in Turlock, California. And this year's bringing new laws to businesses. Small businesses are the ones usually affected the most by these laws. And also bringing changes and things to the insurance industry that has everybody, everybody's talking right now about insurance. So, and your insurance has gone up too, and everybody out there, their insurance has gone up.
Yeah. And in fact, I just made my insurance payment, so I know you're happy now. So,
Allstate is happy.
Yeah,
right?
Allstate
I remember they're
happy,
getting like 90-something% of that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, it is. There's a lot of things going on in the insurance industry, and I was noticing. I try to keep up with different things. Sometimes I'm on Facebook. And a lot of people were saying, for what everyone's thinking, why am I paying so much money for insurance when I'm the good driver? Mm-hmm. And I know that last week, towards the end of the segment, we were talking about, and you were talking about also the show that comes on at 7 a.m.
Yeah, Behind the Badge.
Behind the Badge.
Yeah.
And how people are going, well, I'm such a great driver. Well, that family, they were great drivers, perfect driving record. They kept their insurance, and somebody else that ended up, killing the family. Allstate still has to pay out for that totaled car that was financed. And so the thing is, when your car is broken into and you're the great driver, these accidents are caused by those that, guess what? They don't have the insurance. And so they're the whole thing, but the insurance company still has to pay out for your financed car. Mm-hmm. And then it's kind of like, well, then they should go after this person. It's kind of hard to go after a person that doesn't sometimes even have a driver's license. Their car wasn't even theirs. They don't have insurance. Someone's got to pay for the damage to their car. Yeah. And that's the whole thing. Car insurance is based on the risk. And people that are high risk, DUIs and speeding tickets and all of these things, their insurance is so high, they go, well, I'm just not going to get insurance.
Yeah.
And these are the ones that are causing the accidents. And then there's the crime. But I am glad, new year, and we have finally, they kind of like repealed Prop 47 with Proposition 36, where I guess stealing is a crime again.
Yeah, yeah. Whoop, whoop. And in fact, they're wanting law enforcement now to react quicker to that. So, I mean, they got a lot to do already, which I agree they should react to that as fast as they can. But they do have a lot to do, and when you go through a period where crime is not really punishable, it kind of puts, I think, the people that enforce the laws on our behalf, it kind of puts them into a funk. It's like, well, we can't.
We talked about that.
Yeah,
we talked about
the
car theft, and because the person hit a public utility pole, they had to arrest him.
Yeah.
And while the police officer was filling out the report, the guy is walking past him, flipping him off, and walking out through the front door.
Yeah, it's not right.
And it gets to a point it's worthless.
Yeah. It's like, why did I do all this training? Why did I do, all this hard work? Why am I putting my life at risk in order to do this when the lawmakers aren't doing their job?
And what happens is businesses. Okay, so I do know that with this law, somebody was saying Gavin Newsom wants to have that overturned because he is saying that it's going to affect a certain segment of the population, that the more arrests in this certain segment. So I'm going the segment that goes into stores and steals. You can see how I feel about it. Oh, yeah. But at the same time, it's going to cost so much money to have to process these people and incarcerate those that went in and smashed, hope they can catch the people from that did what they did to Mid-Valley Pond and go and steal someone's livelihood. But how much money has California lost in businesses that can't get, since I'm in insurance, because the insurance companies do not want to restock their shelves every week. Yeah. And from the businesses that had to shut their doors. Now you have people that are unemployed. You have the woman that was walking to the local store to be able to get her medications, etc. And they've had to close up shop because other people thought they had a right just go in and take all the deodorants and all of everything else. So don't talk to me about money that you want to, we can't have this because we're now going to have to arrest people. I think California has lost so many people and so many businesses in this last year that I have high hopes for 2025 as far as some of these new laws. And, you know, the laws that are going into effect, a lot of these, I mean, we voted on, well, the rest of you did. I'm not an American citizen. But I think there has nothing to do with right, you know, red or blue or right or left or everything. Some people we're just fed up with the crime. And they said, we got to do something about it.
Yeah.
And so there are some good laws on the books, but a lot of these laws also that are going to come into effect, they weren't propositions. They were legislatures wrote the laws like last summer, and the governor signed them into law, but they'll go into effect this spring, and some will go into effect because they are harder to regulate like by June.
All right, so you listen to Small Business Voice with Justin Duncan and Jeanette Forni on Power Talk 1360 KFIV and the iHeartRadio app. So I see your notes. You wrote down a lot of the notes on the new laws. And,
well, I'm trying to stay on top of things. When I first tried to stay on top of, since I have a business, on the insurance industry. And of course, being an insurance agent, I get all the complaints. And why are my premiums going up? And it just keeps going up. And what's going on? And these aren't nonprofits; they are companies. And like I used the analogy one time before that if you have 5 taco trucks and you're making a profit on all 5, but then you have the one where you're losing money head over heels, and people go, well, you should keep that one open and keep the prices low because you're making so much money on the other ones. Well, that's not a good business model.
No.
And a lot last year, what did we see? What people are talking about are the homeowners. These companies, the big ones, State Farm, Farmers, all states also considered, just basically said, we're not doing homeowners any longer.
Yeah.
And we've gone into detail about the different things in it. And as an agent, there are ways you can lower, let's say, your premium for auto. And one thing is, in California, a lot of the other states, they actually do credit score, determines your, which I think is kind of dumb. I mean, because the thing is, it doesn't make you a bad driver because you lost your home or you had a divorce or, you know, something like this. So they go by basically, you know, how much it's going to be to replace that car, and cars are expensive, parts, etc. Theft.
Yeah.
But we cover that. Theft is hopefully going to go down because now those few people that are committing all the, you know, auto thefts are maybe going to spend some time away from stealing cars.
Well, we're hoping.
Yeah, we're hoping.
Yeah.
But otherwise, check your policy. They go by mileage. How much exposure, not how good of a driver you are, how much exposure is that car getting? If you're on the road all the time, you're putting a lot of miles, you're exposing that car to being hit by those people who don't care about the law, who are tired and are under stress. So there are a lot of things that you can do with it, but there's some big things happening in the homeowners market, which is making me very, very, very nervous. And some things that were passed by Ricardo Lara, the commissioner of insurance here in California. And he's making these mandated laws for the insurance company. And I'm wondering if it could actually put me out of business.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about that, because I know you're actually one of the more successful business owners, insurance company owners that I know, you know, and if it's, I know if you're getting to that point where it's like, hey, you know, I can't do this anymore, there's got to be a reason for it. And I know how your brain works. Your brain, like you probably get about 4 hours of sleep a night, if I had to guess.
My brain works constantly.
Yeah, your brain
But I
works.
look at the numbers.
Yeah.
I look at the numbers, and sometimes people making decisions about businesses. And that's the whole thing when you look at also politicians. They've been in politics their whole life, and what looks good on paper, or this sounds good, they've never really crunched the numbers and say, well, if you do this, it's not going to work.
Yeah.
And so, yes, they're cutting, like for myself, as an Allstate agent, they're cutting our commissions.
Yeah, a lot to think about. So stay with us on Power Talk 1360 KFIV and the iHeartRadio app. Reach out to us for more information about our featured guests that we had in the past by texting 209-896-6500. You can always email me at info@smallbusinessvoicemedia.com. And you can pull up any of our past shows on the iHeart Radio app. Just search and follow the Small Business Voice. Like and follow us on Facebook, Instagram, X, TikTok, and YouTube, and connect with me on LinkedIn. My wonderful co-host is a fellow business owner, Jeanette Forni. She owns an Allstate agency at 2012 West Monte Vista Avenue in Turlock, California. Call Jeanette at 209-667-2222 or email her at JeanetteForni@allstate.com. Really quick, Jeanette, before we get into what we're going to get into, we're always looking for guests to come on the show. So if you're like a eye doctor or something like that, reach out to me because as I'm reading this, my eyes are getting blurry. So it might be, I might be a client of yours if you come on the show. So
I hear that you could do like eye exercises. We're all like so monochrome, in how we're using our eyes. If the screen right in front of us, the phone right in front of us. And in the old days, people would, when they're hunting, they're looking at the mountains, they're looking at the trees, they're seeing what's behind the bush, they're looking up close up what they're, doing. And that's all, the eyes do have muscles.
Yeah, they do.
And so we really need to, people are ruining their eyes. And I think that sometimes with glasses too, the glasses, we were talking, remember last week, Rick?
Yeah.
People will find the path of least resistance when it comes to, exercise and everything else.
Yeah.
And I think with eyes too, when we start wearing reading glasses, for example, it's like now we don't have to squint and everything else. And so I'm really looking forward to seeing if I can find exercises to make my eyesight better naturally.
Yeah.
So that might be interesting.
So,
to have someone in here that's how we can take care of those things.
So, and then the other thing I wanted to cover too before we get into more about the new laws is the one thing we're going to start doing is if you follow us on Facebook, Instagram, X, TikTok, all those channels, my goal is by February to start posting daily content of past guests. So, Monday, we might have M&M Movers, they're
Yeah, see, people also miss something, being able to just go in there quick and easy, just not the announcements or anything else, just the quick
just the
insights into some of the. There's so much knowledge out there. Every time we have a guest, I learn something. I walk away saying, "Wow, I didn't know that," or it reminded me of something that I should be doing in my life.
Yeah. So anyway, I didn't want to get away from what we were talking about. So we have some new laws going into effect in 2025.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it all started with as a business owner, as an insurance agent, I try to stay on top of some of the laws that are happening.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I was really, like when I was talking about to be able to lower your auto coverage is sometimes also bundling. People go, you should bundle because if you bundle with your home, you usually it's a lower rate. You get a discount for having more than one car. You get a discount for having more than one policy. Mm-hmm. And then you're going like, no one's writing homes. And this is affecting the real estate industry also. Both California and Florida. So see, this isn't, the blue-red thing because one's a red state, et cetera.
Exactly.
They are having problems with people. Here you have finally raised all this money. You have found a home. You have your job. And then you can't get the house because you find out how much it's going to be in taxes and homeowners insurance. That actually in Florida, it was almost like 11% of people walked away from home ownership because they couldn't afford the insurance because everything is part of that monthly payment. You cannot close escrow on a house where you're going to have payments if the bank doesn't know that the house is going to be insured. Mm-hmm. And so last year, a lot of people were screaming, I can't get homeowners insurance. And the big guys, State Farm, Farmers, Allstate.
Yeah.
A lot of them says, we're done. We're not writing any more homes. That doesn't mean that we didn't terminate the homes. And as I found out, there's a few companies in California right now that might be looking at, they don't want to continue in the home market.
Yeah.
And so I can't say their names right now, but I've kind of had little whispers. But we also saw in the news with AAA was terminating homes or non-renewing them at renewals. And so Ricardo Lara, I guess he was just bombarded. He is the commissioner with, why can't we get homeowners insurance? And I live in California. I got to buy the land up in the foothills in El Dorado Hills. I got the permits to build the cabin up there. I can't get insurance for it. What are you going to do about it? How come I can't get insurance? Well, in these high-risk areas or high-risk homes, depending on a lot of factors can make your home high risk, there's the California unfair plan. And that is where it's supposed to step in.
Okay.
These companies, insurance companies, they're not nonprofits.
Yeah.
They have shareholders. And people go, shareholders depreciate. No, that's somebody's 401k. That's, in a union. And so what Ricardo Lara did, and I heard this thing just snuck in, kind of like under the table, is he is going to require insurance companies in California to cover the wildfire risk. And everybody's going, yeah, it's about time. But 85% of their market share is how much share of the business you have in a market. So the California market, they're going to say 85% of what you have, you are going to have to cover the wildfire risk because they have done a horrible job. And if you have the California Fair Plan, you can't get liability insurance.
Yeah.
You can't get liability insurance. You can't get personal umbrella policy.
Yeah.
So the thing is, what this actually means is, let's say State Farm has 22% market share, say, in the state. Well, if they're going to have to do 85% of that market share, that means in a high risk, to insure the high risk, that's 16%. So here they are licensed to do business in California. And now the government's going to step in and say, well, now you're going to have to insure these high risk places. Well, if you were a business, what would you do? You'd either pull out. So now we're going to have even less insurance going, well, we can't take on the risk. We're going to lose our money for the stockholders. Or you might say, well, you know what? Then I only want to have 5% of the market share.
Yeah.
So I'm going to start non-renewing. So that is scary when government steps in and tells a private business, you have to do business with these high-risk things. And that scares me because we were about to get homes back.
Yeah.
So are they now going to back off and say, we don't want to do business in California?
Yeah. Geez.
It's too much of a risk. So that's scary.
Yeah.
That is scary.
So you're listening to Justin Duncan and Jeanette Forni on Power Talk 1360 KFIV and the iHeartRadio app. So little side question. So you're getting to your retirement age. So,
yes.
Okay. So have you ever thought about running for, I don't know, how do you get appointed to be the insurance commissioner? Because I think you do one hell of a job, honestly.
Well, I look at business and in his, I don't know Ricardo Lara, but what I've heard of being an insurance agent and sitting in on meetings and really trying to educate myself on the system, I don't think he knew a lot about the insurance industry the first 4 years. He learned a lot. And actually, a lot of the insurance companies says, guess what? I think he's sitting on our side of the table. Part of that was some of these good laws, like retail theft. It's going to shut down the business. The business can't get insurance because of, sometimes you have to look at the bigger picture. But this one here, in maybe trying to please the people, we can't get insurance. And California says, we're lousy at providing the California Fair Plan. That's so expensive. We need to force the insurance companies to take on that risk. Well, they're not the government. They don't have to take on the risk. So they're going to say, yeah, we can make money in the other 49 states. And that's what makes me nervous, that they're just going to say, now it's not just that Allstate says we're not writing homes, we're keeping the ones we have. Now they're going to say, oh, well, if you're going to keep them, 85% of that amount of homes that you're keeping, you're going to have to write the bad risk that you didn't want to take in the first place.
Yeah.
So what are they then going to do? What's Allstate going to do? Are they going to, I'm an Allstate agency owner. So it does make me nervous as instead of being able to grow my business, when you try to force someone that now you got to take on adverse risk because we don't want to take it on, they're going to say, well, we don't want to take it on either. What's going to happen to the poor homeowner? You can't force someone. The government forces us to do things. They just make laws.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
But if my father, like I said, in Sweden, when they said, people should be able to take a whole week off every single month. And then my father says, but that stops production. Well, everybody voted for it. I think it's great that I get to take a whole week off with pay.
Yeah.
Well, my father then shut down the factory.
But yeah, you don't realize the cause and effect. There's always an effect to a decision that's made. And like you said, it may look good on paper. It might sound good, but
we can't find homeowners insurance. Yeah. We're going to force the insurance companies to take on more business, and not just more business.
Yeah.
Because also they want to come back and start writing homes again. They're saying, no, you can't write the homes until 85% of what you have already is put into what is our risk because we're losing money.
So in Sweden, really quick, so how does that work? So everybody, gets 1 week off a month?
Well, Sweden is turning back around. They found that their model wasn't working.
Oh,
because of socialism. After 40 years of socialism, they finally realized that if everybody's paying in to the government and the government decides what's going to happen to all of the money, everybody ends up, losing.
Yeah.
But I mean, I have a lot of hope for 2025. There are some good things that are on the books, and then there's just some crazy stuff that I don't even know why we should be getting into some of these new laws.
All right, well,
that are going to hurt businesses.
Yeah. Well, let's go. Let's try to cover that in the next segment. We'll try to go over both. I want to be on a positive note because I want we want 2025 to be positive, and just tired of like the last 4 years of just kind of and California's been worse because I'm trying to think back. I can't remember the last time we really had a good governor. Because one of the first governors I was under was Gray Davis, and it just seems like it's never really improved. I mean, that's just my opinion.
Well, look, the greatest big law was crime is now illegal again.
That's
so
good.
Maybe stores will come back, businesses will come back, and if claims go down from theft, your insurance will go down. So there is light at the end of the tunnel, and it's not the train coming.
Okay, well, let's talk about that next segment. So you're listening to Justin Duncan and Jeanette Forni on the Small Business Voice on Power Talk 1360 KFIV and the iHeartRadio app. Reach out to us for more information about our featured guests by texting 209-896-6500. You can always email me at info@smallbusinessvoicemedia.com. You can pull up any of our past shows on the iHeartRadio app. Just search and follow the Small Business Voice. Like and follow us on Facebook, Instagram, X, TikTok, and YouTube, and connect with me on LinkedIn. And my wonderful guest host is a fellow small business owner, Jeanette Forni. She owns Jeanette Forni's Allstate Agency at 2012 West Monte Vista Avenue in Turlock, California. Call Jeanette at 209-667-2222 or email her at JeanetteForni@allstate.com. So let's go into, I guess we'll start with the negatives and then we'll go into the positives.
I think the main positive thing, is people are resilient. Business owners are resilient. I mean, what are you going to do? It's like a lot of us are saying you can't start over. And if you've ever been self-employed, things go up, they go down. When you see someone that's finally successful and has made it, trust me, there were several years of PG&E being shut off and, not where you're struggling and struggling. And the difference is, I think it's, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, that book, the difference with two people that are becoming self-employed is when things go wrong, one goes back to their hourly wage, the other one continues. And so there are always going to be struggles. And I think attitude is one of the biggest things. And there's like nothing you can do about it. But I just actually did payroll. And I kind of have a budget of what I know is going to be. And I pay certain employees that are hourly twice a month. Mm-hmm. So I know that the one that's for the 2 weeks that I pay for 2 weeks worth, on the second one, they have their commissions and bonuses, and so you never know what that's going to be. It's based on what they sell. Mm-hmm. But the hourly one, I always knew exactly what that amount is going to be, so you budget for it. And it was $1,800 more for the first payroll in January. And I kept going over, my daughter does the books. I go, that can't be right. It's never this much. Can you look at it again? And that is one of the things that I realized with some of the new laws that went into effect is payroll tax for employers. Mm-hmm. So I'm paying more to hire people, but I'm not making more money. In fact, And so I started to do some research into it to try to see, because I'm always looking at, same way we were talking about, how can you lower your, your premium on your auto? Mm-hmm. Well, make sure your mileage is correct with the insurance company, because what risk is it? You can raise your deductible. If you're able to put down $1,000 if your car gets totaled, then raise it from, to $1,000 deductible. If you're able to get homeowners and bundles. So, I mean, I'm always looking at what can I do? What's going to make it the most effective? Because I need employees. I can't do it all myself. Yeah. As I looked into it, and during the shutdown of, California, we borrowed, or Gavin Newsom borrowed $20 million from the federal government for unemployment. And we've talked about this on the show before, because they said they're going to raise my unemployment. They were just plain old I got a letter saying your unemployment rate is going to be raised up because we borrowed money from the federal unemployment that we need to pay them back. And I'm going, oh God, this kind of takes, but when they paid out unemployment, the numbers have just come out. They paid out in unemployment benefits $34 billion in fraudulent.
Oh, and fraudulent.
Fraudulent claims. I mean, we're not talking, they borrowed $20 million. They paid out 34 with a B billion in fraudulent claims. And even though they got billions for, rescue package, do you think that our governor paid any of that back on? First of all, it was run so poorly and they were forking out money. But now that they are so in debt, what are they doing? Oh, employers. We're just going to tell you, you're going to pay more back in so we can pay the feds off. And that could make or break someone. I'm going I can't make the payroll. And when I look at my payroll, and my payroll's, it's kind of like 50% of your money usually goes out to payroll. I need more people if I'm going to grow.
Yeah.
But I can't hire more people because I don't have enough in between to pay another person. And they're just going, well, we'll make the employer pay more. Well, that's going to make, so if I can't make enough money, then an employee has to be let go.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's not a good business plan. So that is probably one of the biggest things that they just, we need money. We mismanaged the money. We borrowed money. And then we paid out I couldn't believe the number. I mean, that $34 billion in fraudulent claims. But anyway, so that's one of the things that the new rules came out. Then I'm a person, I recycle everything. And we've talked about good people do good things.
Yeah.
I've never taken, I can't wear this any longer. I'm going to take this brand new dress and, it's still tight. I'm going to throw it in the garbage. So they've come out with a law about mandatory recycling program for used clothing.
Oh, really? I didn't hear about that.
Okay, so I think that's good. They should have. People shouldn't. It's going to save the landfills, right? So retailers, textiles, apparel companies, they have to collect used clothing so that they don't go into landfills.
Yeah. So you're listening to Justin Duncan and Jeanette Forni on the Small Business Voice on Power Talk 1360 KFIV and the iHeartRadio app.
That's recycling. Now, when even the kids were small, we'd go through the clothing. We'd say, okay, outgrown, this gets donated, this one we keep, etc. And if it was something that was just so terrible, if it was torn so I couldn't donate it, well, then I do things for crafts. It's a practice for sewing for the kids, things like this. But if it's something that's like, oh, no, nobody's going to, then, and it very rarely does it go in the garbage. Because, again, good people don't throw garbage on the street as they're walking from the fast food place.
Yeah.
You can't make that a law saying you have to. People are still going to do what they have to. But the one thing that I find interesting, once the government comes in and mandates a recycling program and tells companies such as stores that they have to have a recycling program, one of two things are going to happen. These clothing manufacturers, the clothing industry down in Los Angeles, for example, there are a lot of scraps, and I think it's horrible. What are they going to do with them? Now they have to have this mandatory recycling program. They'll probably leave California.
Yeah.
You can't cut out a pair of pants and sew them in the garment district of Los Angeles. And what are you going to do with the scraps? So now it's got to be in a collection center, recycling, etc. And the second thing that happens, what happens when there's a recycling program in California? Got to recycle bottles and cans. People still throw them out in their garbage. I do recycling of everything. I go nuts if I see someone throwing a glass bottle in a garbage can. I go, you can recycle that, right?
Yeah.
And so now what happens when we buy a can or a bottle? There's a recycling fee on there.
Yeah.
5 cents, 10 cents. So again, this whole thing of recycling, guess what's going to happen to your clothing that you're buying? If it's a mandated recycling program for clothing, now every shirt that you buy is going to have the fee for the recycling program in California.
Yeah, because the owners aren't going to take the loss on that.
And do you think people that throw away their clothes in the garbage are now also like, I paid this recycling fee on my can of energy drink, so I'm going to make sure I recycle it so that it can go into a recycling company that then makes money off of,
because they're in for profit
again,
too, yeah.
I guess California must be so in debt. Is how can we get more money? How can we get more money? Well, let's do another recycling thing and tell everybody they have to pay this much more for a recycling program.
Yeah.
So that's something people I think recycle enough. This is California, and then there's the one thing that also everyone's just getting into so much. We've already said that. If you're honest, you're honest. But now this whole thing, banning cell phones on campuses because they do not want young people to be influenced by TikTok or social media. Well, they're only in school so many hours. And then they're going to be weekends, evenings, at home. They're still watching that. That's something I think is a parental thing.
It is.
If you don't want the social media, as a parent, you should see what they're talking about, open up the conversation. And somebody said, well, the reason they don't want the phones on campuses is because in the last year, a lot of these students have been documenting what's going on in the classrooms. Yeah. I was a teacher once, and it can be very distracting. But same thing, phones in the office can be distracting. And so as a boss or a manager, as a teacher, when there's a test, put your phones away. And in college, professors say if you're on your phone, then your class day ended now. Go home. So, but for the government to come in and say, no, nobody can have phones on campuses. I think I'm kind of like looking at it suspiciously. Yeah. But I think that overall California has a great, state. The employers, we're going to work around whatever happens. It is expensive in California.
It is.
And I'm hoping gas prices will go down because then groceries will go down. But it seems like every time we turn around, for the good of society, they're going to put another recycling tax on everything that we buy for another program. Yeah. And so I'll stay in business. I have families that depend on me as employees, but it's getting tougher. It's harder and harder to make a living, and it's not business friendly in California. And as we lose businesses, people are going to then order from Amazon.
Well, and all the more important to buy local from your businesses, because it's like you said. So Amazon, I use Amazon, but for the most part, people should be looking at their local businesses and going there because, people want stores to shop at. When I went by the mall during Christmas time, the malls are packed.
Oh, yeah. And well, there's another law that came out that says mandatory leave, sick pay for anyone that's a victim of a crime. If I have an employee that's been a victim of a crime or even something happens in the crime, of course I'm going to let them have time off. Yeah. But again, here the government steps in and says, if they're not saying what victim, my car was broken into, I need to take a week off with pay. It's kind of like, you cannot. That's like, like in Sweden, when people start being able to take time off. Yeah. And if they get to take a week off, I get to take a week off. And then you shut down businesses. Yeah. So we're going into 2025, and I'm just hoping that I don't like to micromanage my staff. So I certainly don't want the government coming in and telling me how to micromanage my staff.
All right. Well, let's talk about that next segment. So you're listening to Small Business Voice with Justin Duncan and Jeanette Forni on Power Talk 1360 KFIV and the iHeartRadio app. Reach out to us for more information about our featured guests by texting 209-896-6500, or you can always email me at info@smallbusinessvoicemedia.com. You can pull up any of our past shows on the iHeartRadio app. Just search and follow the Small Business Voice. Like and follow us on Facebook, Instagram, X, TikTok, and YouTube, and connect with me on LinkedIn. Community Corner is proudly sponsored by Lightspeed Graphics, a creative media agency specializing in video and animation. To get in touch with owner Kirk Gonzalez, simply text him at 209-617-2606 or visit his website at lightspeedgraphics.com. So really quick, Jeanette, finishing up what we were talking about. Let's wrap that up really quick.
It's basically like governments getting involved in businesses, telling them, what to do. And it's always what was Reagan said, I'm the government and I'm here to help. It's such a scary thing.
Yeah, exactly.
They're going to make the same for domestic workers, your nannies and housekeepers and things like this. They're going to have them follow the same rules for requirements that employees have on safety laws. Yeah. So that's going to be tough, too, we do try to keep people safe. Homeowners insurance covers people being injured that are working in your home that are paid.
Yeah.
And so that's something. And then they have the union mandate of California is one of the few states that still has unions. I mean, I was a member of a union.
I am a member of a union.
I was a member of Screen Actors Guild and SAG-AFTRA. And so the bill, the 399 bill, says that employers, there's a mandate that they have to have employees listen to benefits of unionizing, but they are forbidden to talk to employees about the negative effects that this was going to have to the business if we unionize. And you saw when some of these places like unionize, the owner said, okay, well, now you're all fired. And if he would have told them maybe, I mean, there's a good place for unions. And I believe that a lot of things for safety, etc. But then they also came out with Assembly Bill 800 that says it's now mandated that all high school students are taught about the benefits of joining a union. And I'm going like, that's just getting, it's like they don't even teach kids how to balance a checkbook, but they're going to have a mandated class for high school students on the benefits of joining, but no rebuttal. It can't be like, you know what, if you're self-employed, work for a small company and all of these things, but unions, as far as also businesses, you can only bid on government contracts if you are union. Yeah. There's a lot of good that would probably come in under money if they didn't have all of those things. So I think, again, it's just every year doesn't bring us less laws. It brings us more regulations. And that is a scary thing. Yeah. But no, people have enough. And then they finally say, okay, forget about 47. Let's make crime illegal. I'm going to work hard. California tax is, what do they call it? Sunshine tax. It's so beautiful in this state, so we can grow our own vegetables. And I have high hopes for this year. I'm going to work very, very hard.
I do too. And
we were also talking about, there's going to be a breaking point for everything, and people are still leaving California. Yeah. So as far as businesses, I have high hopes that we can fight some of these things.
Well, so getting back to the unions, I can give you both sides of if unions are good or unions are bad, and I'm on the I'm of the opinion that unions are pretty good. I mean, for what and not for everything, but but there's structure that comes with the union. So everybody gets paid the same. Everybody everybody follows the same set of rules.
But are they paid on merit or on time? Because a lot of times
they're paid on time. You have
a guy that's like great and he's doing fabulous, but he can't get a raise. While the other guy, I've been here for 10 years, I don't have to do anything because nobody can fire me.
Well, and that's one of the issues. Yeah, I mean that is an issue, but for the structure, and it doesn't protect your job either. By the way, because I went through a layoff with a union job.
Yeah, my husband was union and carpenters union, and when he lost his job there, they told him he had to come in and sign in the book, like every day. But he wasn't. Here we're talking a family with 5 small children, and he wasn't allowed to take a job anywhere else. He had to take a job with the union. He just wanted to work. And that made him quit the union. He became self-employed. Yeah. But yes, that's hard.
I guess what I'm saying is that there are pros and there are cons to unions, and I could tell you both sides of it because I worked for a place when I just got out of high school, I worked for a place that was not union, stayed there for 14 years. And
that's a long time.
It was. And then when I went to Winco, which is, my current job now, that is union. I've been there 16 years, and I've seen the good things, and I've seen the not so good things that come along with it. So there's always a give and take. That there, you heard that saying, the grass isn't always greener on the other side. But for where I am now, for the job I have now, I am thankful to have a union in place. I think that they do a good job overall. So I am happy with that. So anyway, you're listening to Small Business Voice with Justin Duncan and Jeanette Forni on Power Talk 1360 KFIV and the iHeartRadio app. So talking about small businesses, though, it wouldn't work for a small business because
have someone come in, and that's what happened with all those franchises in California. That people think their franchises like a McDonald's, for example. Yeah. Well, they're part of this No, it's one guy owns it. He's just forced to buy the the services from McDonald's. He's forced to buy the meat from McDonald's. And
so for you, for instance, by chance, let's talk about you for a second. So you employ, what, 5 people?
7.
7 people, okay. So if one of those people don't show up to work, that's going to be less money you make, because in order for your company to make money, everybody has to be there working. Am I right by saying that?
Well, yes. I mean, there's salespeople are supposed to make the company money.
Yeah.
Customer service is an expense.
Yeah.
I mean, customer service, you can say, oh, well, retention, but they don't bring in revenue. They don't sell anything. And then you have, like you're saying, if someone doesn't show up, well, if the person's on salary, and let's say their base salary is about $6,000 a month, and they don't come in for 3 days, puts the burden on everybody else, but I still have to pay them for those days.
Yeah.
They take a week off, I still have to pay them. And so the hourly employees, if they're not there, then especially for salespeople, then if you only have one person answering phones and trying to sell, you can only quote so many policies a day.
Yeah.
And when the flu hits, I've gone a whole week without one sale being made because I also last week had a customer service person out and a salesperson out, both sick.
Yeah.
And we had a short week because of holidays. And they get paid on holidays, even though, the government says, oh, they get off, but you're going to be paying 7 people a full day's pay. So, it's like that's more money, and nothing was being sold. And after that, with a few people being sick, then it's kind of like, well, I'm supposed to make sales, but we're having to answer the phone because the customer service person was out sick. And then the other salesperson speaks Spanish. So when customer service came in for Spanish speaker, I have now a salesperson that can't be quoting and making sales because they're trying to explain the billing. To, Mr. Smith, why did my policy go up? And yes, I can send you out new ID cards. So, it's a very fine line, especially when you have a small profit margin.
Exactly. Yeah.
And I want to grow. So if I'm going to sell more, I have to hire more people. But if I don't have the money, and now it's costing me more for payroll.
Yeah.
So I've had to redo the compensation plan. My people, they were telling me the other day that I probably one of the insurance agents that pay the most. What I pay for compensation, I give, bonuses.
Yeah.
If we hit these numbers, you're going to get $100 for every single car you write from that day forward. And, so I've had some of my salespeople make $9,000 in 1 month. And I like being able to, but I will say majority of my staff on a lot of months make more money than I do.
Yeah.
And they don't have to take the risk.
No.
They don't have to be there on the weekends or do the hard stuff. They show up, and then when they leave at 5:30, they're gone for the day.
Yeah.
So, self-employment, I can't get fired unless I fire myself.
Yeah.
But it's a struggle. Everybody always thinks that if you're a business owner, that it's just easy going.
No, absolutely not. So.
No, business, we're fighters. My staff, I have a great team. And so we'll get through it. The sun is shining outside and spend more time with family.
All right. So thank you for tuning in each week. We look forward to having you back next week. A heartfelt shout out to our dedicated producer, Mike Murray, and the general manager at KCBP, Jim Costello, for their invaluable contributions to our show. We also appreciate the hard work of our intern, Tiffany Alex, and Kurt Gonzalez from Lightspeed Graphics, Video, and Animation for capturing and inspiring our guests. Jeanette, thank you for joining me today on the Small Business Voice. Remember to join us every Saturday at 11 a.m. as we dive into the minds of local small business owners with even more insightful discussions. So now it's time for us to take care of business.